Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Wednesday, June 24th, 2015, around 6:17 in the morning, Belleville, Massachusetts. Very nice and sunny out today. Low humidity is going to be in the upper 70s. Much more comfortable weather today, not like yesterday when it was soupy out. Some news to report. The Baltimore Orioles beat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 6-4. The Lowell Spinners lost their first game of the year, dropping to Hudson Valley by the score of 6-3. And that's about it on the news. My first video subject of the day is the top 10 list of everything and anything. I have reached the top 10 people that Vince McMahon, the WWE owner and CEO, should have wrestled in a wrestling match with. Vince McMahon is like the owner of the WWE, and for many years he had the Mr. McMahon character who sometimes got involved in wrestling matches. He had some great matches with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, and Bret the Hitman Hart, among others, along with his son Shane and daughter Stephanie. But these are the top 10 people in the world of professional wrestling that Vince McMahon should have had a match with. And this is going to be an interesting list. Number 10 on this list is a person that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with is Ole Anderson, who used to be one of the owners of Georgia Championship Wrestling. Ole Anderson hated Vince McMahon because he bought Georgia Championship Wrestling in 1984, and it was actually Jack and Jerry Briscoe who sold part of Georgia Championship Wrestling to Vince McMahon, and Ole Anderson didn't like it, and that would have been a great match between Ole Anderson and Vince McMahon and stuff, because Ole Anderson's known for his rough house stuff, and that would have been a great match. Number 9 on this list, a man that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with would be the voice of the WWE right now, Michael Cole. Loved Michael Cole's heel commentary in 2011 and stuff, even though Vince McMahon was a heel as well. Probably if they ever wrestled, Vince McMahon would be the de facto face and stuff, and and Michael Cole was a great heel, and that would have been a funny match and stuff like that. Number 8 on this list of the 10 people that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with is the 7-time former NWA World Champion Harley Race, that came Harley Race in the WWE. That would have been, Vince wrestling off against Harley Race would have been a Donnie Book and stuff. It'd probably be comedy match and stuff like that. Probably Harley Race would have had the headbutt to Vince and stuff, and that would have been, great. Number 7 on this list of the 10 people that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, the late Dusty Rhodes and stuff. Would have been very interesting in the mid 2000s when Dusty came back to the WWE and Vince McMahon was in his Mr. McMahon character. You would have seen a great one-liners of Dusty and Vince McMahon. That would have been, pretty funny to hype for the match. It would have probably been a comedy match and stuff, but, that would have been, the words would have been, very, very great. Number 6 on this list of the greatest, the top 10 people that Vince McMahon should have wrestled. Eric Bischoff, the former WWE Raw General Manager and WCW president. This would have been a top-notch match because Eric Bischoff was the one man who almost put Vince McMahon out of business back in the late 1990s. They kind of teased a match on Raw in late 2003, but that never happened. And Vince would definitely be the face in this match against Eric Bischoff. Number 5 on this list of the top 10 people that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with is Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette is would have been, pretty decent match, because back in 1998 the WWE tried to embarrass Jim Ross by having Jim Cornette by having the famous angle for the NWA, which never took off, and had like the New Midnight Express, who was Bob Holly, and Botgun was awful and stuff. And even though Vince McMahon had the Mr. McMahon character, and he probably would probably be the de facto face in this match, because Jim Cornette probably wouldn't have gotten over as a face in the WWE. It would have been very funny and stuff. Number 4 on this list of the top 10 people that should have had Vince McMahon wrestle in a match is his wife Linda McMahon. A couple of times they were kind of teasing that in late 2003 and stuff, and also in 2000, because Linda was the only McMahon who was kind of sane during that time period. It would have been, probably a comedy match and stuff like that. Probably Vince would somehow win the match against his wife Linda, because he would probably fake getting hurt in the match, and when Linda tries to help Vince would surprise her with a small package, grabbing the tight for the 1, 2, 3. That would have been very funny. Number 3 on this list of the 10 people that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with, Jerry the King Lawler. Actually, Jerry the King Lawler was the first wrestler that Vince McMahon feuded with over in the old USWA in 1993. Vince was actually the heel in Memphis, because Jerry Lawler was the king of Memphis. He was a long-time face, and when Jerry Lawler came to the WWE, he was a heel announcer and stuff. In the late 1990s, Jerry the King Lawler cheered Vince McMahon, and it has his Mr. McMahon character and stuff, and that was a shock, because Vince and Jerry kind of were when they were commentating together, Jerry would always have one-liners to Vince and stuff, and always mention his toupee and stuff. And if this match, there was a rumor it was going to take place in Memphis in late 1993, but with the steroid trial from Vince McMahon and also Jerry the King Lawler getting in trouble, it never came to fruition. This match probably would have ever took place in 1999, but I think probably Vince would have been the de facto face and stuff. Probably Jerry the King Lawler would blast Vince, and when he turned face in 1999, saying he would do more one-on-one jokes, and then Jerry would probably blast the Stooges, Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, and he probably would have had too much come down. Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor, and that would have been, made a good 6-man tag, Jerry the King Lawler and Too Much against Vince McMahon and the Stooges. But I think Vince would get his revenge on Lawler by knocking him out. That would have been funny. Number 2 on this list of the wrestlers that the people that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with, Paul Heyman, the former owner of ECW. In the middle of 2001, Paul Heyman said a shoot interview to Vince McMahon on SmackDown, and a week later on Raw he was fired from the storylines. That would have been very, very great match, Vince facing off against Paul Heyman, but it probably would have taken place. Vince probably would have been a de facto baby face and stuff like that. It would have been an awesome match. And number 1 on this list of the 10 people that Vince McMahon should have had a wrestling match with is good old JR, Jim Ross. Many times Vince has embarrassed JR on storylines, like Kiss My Ass storyline and stuff, and also Linda McMahon kicking him in the balls, being fired and stuff on television. This was, a couple of times when when JR had the heel turn in 1996 and 1999, I think 2 proposed WrestleMania matches, WrestleMania 13 and WrestleMania 15, but that did not come to fruition for one reason or another, and it's disappointing, because I think Jim Ross would have probably beaten Vince McMahon up in a match and stuff, and probably it would have been afterwards, after the match, probably Vince would shake JR's hand and stuff on television, being friends with him on storylines and stuff. but that was a missed opportunity for the WWE. And that's about it on that. I will be back later on for 2 more video blogs. First video blog will be about MBTA bus route 85 from Kendall, MIT Red Line Station to Spring Hill in Somerville. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about former Boston Celtics coach and Pro Basketball Hall of Famer Casey Jones. Have a good day, everybody.